Oh, aloha kakahiaka. Welcome, everybody. I'm Peter Kay, and you're on the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is so good to be back. Thanks, Dylan, for covering for me for the previous week. We have got a great show for you today. Of course, as usual, we have a great show for you today, right? So we're going to get some market updates. We're going to talk about what's, the market's like kind of crazy what's going on now in the real estate market. We got your questions. This is an Ask Us Anything show. So we got all kinds of questions that we've got queued up and some ones that we're going to take from you, of course. And we got some diamonds and deals. Our friends are going to fill us in on some properties that they think are really awesome that want you to check out. And then we're going to close with some amazing, incredible, inspiring motivational thoughts. But for first, we have to warm up with our friends over here. So let us warm up with who we have here. We got the full crew, which is amazing. We got Dylan Onakos from the Big Island. We got Heidi Dallinger, who's from Maui, and we have Ashley Wasson, who's from Oahu. And I am so glad to be back. Why don't we just kind of let's just do a clockwise, go the way we came. Dylan, now Dylan normally has the shirt ready for us, so I'm going to ask him about his shirt and about what's happening on the Big Island. Dylan, fill us in.
Yeah, I got my go-to living in Hawaii shirt today, and I remembered when I was the host of the show, I didn't even remember, and I had a regular polo shirt on, so I was violating the rules last week. But good to be back. I was in a mainland all week, just flew home yesterday, and was in Dallas for a couple of days. I spent like 12 hours in Seattle, and then came home. And it's always coming home to the Hawaii weather. It's like it always reminds you. I mean, Dallas was like the same kind of temperature, but no wind, right, and humid, and I mean just not the same as Hawaii. And even if when it's warm, we got those trade winds. It keeps it cool. And then of course Seattle's like rainy and cold, and so yeah, don't ever take for granted the weather in Hawaii, for sure. Always reminded of that.
Man, truer words were never spoken. We too came back from a trip. We went to Las Vegas first for a family wedding. Then went to Reno, Nevada, where my daughter is. We stayed with her for about a week. And, my wife and I, my daughter's got a dog. So we're getting up in the morning and we're taking the dog for a walk. And Reno is beautiful. And it was not like super cold, but it was like, 60s, 50s, 50s in the morning. And, and it was windy this day and rainy that day. And, one day was up and one day was down. And we had a wonderful time. It was wonderful all the way through. And then, like you said, got back home to Hawaii. And my wife and I go for walks every morning. And the first morning was like, oh my God, this is like so amazing. This place is incredible. My God, the weather is just incredible. Nothing even comes close. Not even close. Speaking of close, Heidi, what's happening close to Heidi? Heidi, what's happening in Maui? What's the coffee today?
Well, I'm drinking my Maui coffee today, the yellow Katura coffee, which is one of my faves. I'm actually here live from one of my listings over at Papakea Resort because I'm going to be showing this property right after. And there's a big construction project going on right below me. So I'll try to be on mute when I'm not talking. So hopefully that's not too loud.
It sounds great. The noise canceling is doing its job. I don't hear a thing, and it's really cool that you're live at the resort. I mean, if we don't have time, but it would have been fun to kind of have Heidi walk around with the laptop and give us like a walking tour around the property. Anyway, good luck on your listing today. Very good luck. Hey, Heidi, I wanted to share something with you. I'm trying something new because I know that you're a coffee person, right? And I'm, I've self-described myself as a coffee snob. I've been trying something new and I'm kind of really enjoying it. Is that when I, after I got the coffee brewed, I use a French press and I'm pouring it in. I add in I don't know if you've tried this, a teaspoon of cinnamon, pop it in the coffee. It puts a nice,
I have not tried.
It's supposed to be healthy. Yeah, it's supposed to be healthy and all that kind of crap, right? Antioxidants, all this. It's a superfood and all that kind of junk. But it's good. It puts a little bit of a different flavor to it, so I'm kind of enjoying that. So if you ever get
putting protein powder in your coffee and cinnamon and mushrooms,
but it becomes a salad.
It's good on its own.
It becomes a salad, right? You got all kinds of junk in it. I've done
butter. Butter was one of the things for a while, right? That was like a fad, was putting butter in your coffee. Yeah.
I've done, and basically butter it's glorified cream, right? It's all it is. It's like saying cream in your coffee. It's just like a super rich cream. So, but anyway, yeah, butter, mushrooms, lettuce, kale.
If the coffee is really good, you don't need to put anything in it.
Hot, black, and strong, like my man. Exactly.
I was just going to say that.
Speaking of, just going to say, who just said it? Ashley, give us the update. How's Oahu doing? How are you doing?
I put cinnamon and mushrooms in my coffee. The cinnamon, you just have to make sure it's good cinnamon because you can't have heavy metals in your cinnamon. So if you get like a cheaper brand, then it could actually do more harm than good. So
okay, keep that in mind.
Call me a cinnamon coffee snob.
There you go. Cinnamon coffee mushroom snob. All right.
The weather, I know exactly what you mean. When you get off the plane, it's not just the weather, it's just the smell. It's like the perfect moisture combination, which is weather. It's everything about it. There's just something so special when you get off the plane. And I used to get that same feeling too back in Massachusetts, New Hampshire. And now, sadly, when I get off the plane there, I smell landfill, which is its own special odor if you are born and raised there as well. But certainly very blessed to be here. The weather is so pleasant because it rains and it sprinkles throughout the day right now. So it just keeps it at like the most comfortable temperature. Even if it's in the 90s, you'll get this like dump of rain for 5 minutes, some rainbows, and then it cools the overall temp down. It's perfection right now.
I mean, just think about what you just got through describing. Just think about what you just got through describing. Just the description alone, right? It's like, yeah, we come in the morning, it rains for a few minutes, we have some rainbows, it cools everything down, makes it, kind of moistens the ground, and then the day kind of continues with absolute perfection. Yeah. Every day. It's like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. And speaking of thanking, we're going to thank Susie Q. Hey, Susie Q, welcome back. Good to see you, Susie Q. Glad to see you. You're here, and you've been a good source of questions for us. I hope you got some more for us. And anyone else who's watching us right now, make sure you give us a like. Not even a like, I suppose. Like, subscribe, share, and subscribe. Right? No. Just give us a little comment. Let us know where you're from. We want to know who's here with us and where you're hailing from. Excellent. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the good warm up. All right. Thanks. See, on cue. Thanks, Susie Q. So here we will cogitate on this. She says, if you have time today, can you touch on forwarding mail to the island when in between addresses? My understanding is that PO boxes have serious waiting lists and mail isn't delivered everywhere. Excellent. Hold on to that thought, everyone. I just want you all to think about that. Great question about how do you forward your mail if you're moving to Hawaii. Thanks. Great. Rich is back. Welcome back, Rich. Good to see you, buddy. Aloha from Minnesota. How's the weather in Minnesota? I'm afraid to ask. How's the weather in Minnesota, Rich? Give us a clue. Thanks for joining us. All right. I got a couple of news items I kind of warm up with to clue everybody in on. So I got a couple of funny things to kind of share. So Dylan, I want to hear about this. There's chickens coming home to roost on the Big Island. So it looks like they're household henneries. There's a proposal being considered. County law currently only allows chicken to be raised on agricultural land, but Bill 52 would let residents have household henneries for non-commercial egg production. Now, on one hand, it sounds really cute, but on the other hand, if you live in a neighborhood with roosters crowing in the morning, it's not fun. I cannot say that that's fun. So I'm curious, and the Big Island being as rural as it is already, that would be interesting. Dylan, I'd like to get your take on that one. Lambscaping, there's goatscaping. I don't know if you folks have heard about this. There's goatscaping, but now we have lambscaping on Oahu. Apparently they're using lambs because we don't want goats here. But we have lambs, and lambs are cute, right? And they taste good too. But they're using them on apparently a neighborhood on Oahu has steep slopes that you really can't mow with machinery or people. And so what do? You put a bunch of lambs on them. So it's a neat take, and I thought the word was cute. If you ever wonder about how we have so much fireworks in Hawaii, well, one of the things is they're mailing them in. They're finding now that people are sending undeclared explosives via the U.S. Postal Service on a regular basis, and few are facing arrest or prosecution. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. I never thought about that, but I suppose you've got mail is a whole bunch of thing. And another thing I wanted to share with everybody, a lot of people ask a lot of questions about like health and important questions about how is healthcare like on the neighbor islands, and we've talked about that before. I don't want to go into details, but I thought this was an interesting story about on the island of Molokai. You have to wait for 1 year to see your dentist. apparently there's like not a lot of dentists, maybe only one, but there's so few dentists on Molokai where you have to wait for 1 year. There's just two here. There's two dental providers on the island, and right now its wait list is 10 pages long or a year. So basically, what you have to do is you have to fly to Oahu to get your teeth cleaned, which is it's worth it though if you love Molokai. It's well worth it. And then finally, the ice, a different kind of iced coffee. We're not talking iced coffee here. We're talking ice agents on Kona Coffee Farms. Apparently, it's becoming there's all kinds of stories about it, all kinds of worries about it, that what's going to be the effect. The immigration enforcement agents or whatever are coming on to Kona Coffee Farms, where apparently there's some folks there that are here apparently illegally. And so there's all kinds of concerns of what's that's going to cause. I'd like to get Dylan's take on that as well, as far as what's going on. All right, that's about it. Let's say hi to a bunch of folks who have popping in. We got Ron, there he is. Ron Demu. Every time I've been to Hawaii, I didn't want to leave. One day, I hope to live where. Ron, speaking for Heidi and for Ashley and for myself, people that transplanted here, Dylan was born and raised here. We feel the same way. We saw it, we lived it, and we're doing it. So it's definitely a dream. Just make it happen. Just make it happen, Ron. That's all you gotta do. Just make it happen. It's just right. Rich says sunny mid-60s. Oh my God, it's balmy. A balmy, warm, tropical day in Minnesota. Rich is from Minnesota, so mid-60s. That is a nice day. Well, Steve, hey, welcome back, buddy. Good to see you again, Steve. Welcome back for returning. Aloha from Salt Lake City. Today's a gorgeous sunny day here with a high of 79. Feel like I'm in the islands, or as close as I can get for now. 79. I mean, what's the temperature here right now? Actually, it's 81. 81. Oh no, actually, I'm looking at my phone. It's 79 right now. Right now, it's 79, Steve. So there you go. There you go.
80
buddy.
degrees in Kona.
80 degrees in Kona. There you go. There you go. And then Naomi, Jesse.
Mine's 79 and a half in Kailua.
79. Okay, 79 and a half in Kailua. 70 and a half. And a half. It's the half. And aloha from Hawaii Island, Jesse, Naomi, Grace. Welcome, Jesse. Thanks for joining us. And if you've just joined us, you pop a comment. We'd love to know where you're from. We'd like to say hello and to recognize you. All right. I think it is that time. Yeah, it is that time. Let's do some market updates. Let's kind of figure out what's happening on. I caught a news article about the market is this and the market's that. It's this and that. I'm curious on our bi-weekly basis here. Why don't we go? Let's go counterclockwise now. Ashley, why don't you start us off? Give us a what's going on the market. Give us the headlines on what's happening and what do you see. And do you have lambs? Do you landscape? Are you into landscaping? That I'd like to know. You probably would like that. Anyway, go ahead.
I would like that. My yard's not big enough. I have humans that help.
I was going to comment on it. I'm interested to see how that works out, because lambs are it's a fancy word for sheep, right? These are sheep.
They're baby sheep. Baby sheep.
Yeah. Well, I doubt they're all baby sheep, though. I bet it's just sheep. But anyway, sheep don't eat the same stuff as goats eat. And so that's the reason that they do the goat dozers on the Big Island is because goats will clear cut absolutely everything. Sheep are a little bit more picky. So depending on what kind of stuff you're trying to keep down and landscape, I'm interested to see how effective that is, because they're not as
yes, you are
they're more
absolutely
discriminating than
correct.
Goats.
Yeah, and unlike goats, sheep will not eat the grass to the very, very bottom. Goats go all the way to the bottom, and that's why they hate goats. But sheepscaping may not be so hot, but we're going to find out. Anyway, I'm sorry. Ashley, give us the update. What's going on Oahu and what's happening?
Oahu, yeah, we're in a good market, I think. So we're going to do what I tend to do, right? We're going to compare this year to last year to 2019, because I like to do year to date and then pre-COVID. So this year, from the 1st to the 15th, so the first half of the month, we in total have 303 sales for Oahu for single family and condos. Compare that to 2024, that was 356 sales for the first half of May. Compare that to pre-COVID market, 2019, there was 397 sales. So we're seeing less sales overall since pre-COVID market right now, and less than last year so far for the first half of the month. However, interestingly enough, we have a higher sales volume, which means the actual price points must be higher because the homes first quarter for this year to date for 2025 is up 6%. So in total volume of actual home values that have sold for single families is 923 million compared to last year first quarter of 871 million. Same for condos. Condos are up 9% on the actual dollar volume that is sold first quarter this year compared to last year. You're still seeing 52% of single family homes selling at or above asking price, and still 40% of condos selling at or above asking price.
So what does that mean? Tell me what that means, Ashley. Give me the one liner. What does that mean?
It means prices are still going up. Inventory is higher. You have more to choose from. You have some negotiating room. You're probably not going to see a screaming deal on dollar price, though. You're going to see options.
Interesting. So prices are inching up, and but inventory is growing. You said,
Also,
right?
inventory's up. Prices are up or stable. Overall, there's still
Right.
variations of submarkets. Sales are down, and we do still see days on market up. So, for example, if you're a buyer right now, we have people who often need to do contingency sales. They want to sell their place in order to buy a place. Right now, there's never been a better time. We're seeing more creative options. Like now I have people who are asking for subject to. So subject to is, hey, so-and-so, you have this old mortgage. What if I just take over your loan because you're struggling right now and I'll pay you X amount of dollars to give you something to go play with or go back to wherever you want to go and then take over the payment. So there's a lot more creative options we're seeing. I have a client who's willing to do seller financing. We haven't seen that in a pretty decent amount of time. We're seeing increase in distressed properties, not necessarily short sales yet, but we're seeing some additional foreclosures and auctions. Careful on how those titles convey. Don't think you're going to scoop up this awesome deal and it's going to be cherry. We're running into also complicated title histories because of that. But the point is we're seeing people you have to get a little bit more creative, and you get to be a little bit more creative right now. Cool.
Thank you. So Heidi, how is that contrasting with what's going on in Maui, or how is it similar, or what's the report that you have for us from Maui? What's the resort that you're hanging out at again where are you at now? Live on location, Heidi? You're muted.
I'm at Papakea Resort today. It's an oceanfront resort on the west side.
Nice.
Kind of bordering Kaanapali, Honokawai. So that's where I'm hanging out today in one of my listings that I'm about to show. Yeah, I mean, overall on Maui, similar story. It is a buyer's market, meaning conditions are more favorable for buyers. There's more opportunity to negotiate. There's more options. So it's really, really fun working with buyers right now. Our condominium market year to date, prices are down about 12.9% as of last month, and home prices are up about 1.2%. So single family home has been more stable. The condo market on Maui has been in flux for a number of reasons, and we're seeing less sales overall. We have about 16 months of inventory for condos, about 7.7 months of inventory for single family. So yeah, it's been a slower market, but it's always fun and interesting, and there's definitely opportunities to be had in this market. So yeah, if you're a buyer, it's worth another look.
So Heidi, if I was to ask you, say, hey, so you said that there's opportunities. Can you tell me a little bit more? Like, okay, well, like, give me either some examples, or hey, Heidi, I want to try to take advantage of those opportunities that you kind of alluded to. Where do you recommend I kind of start? What direction should I start to look at to find these opportunities? Or what do they look like? Tell me
Well,
more about the opportunities. I want to hear about opportunities, Heidi.
So I think at first glance, it can be overwhelming if you're not really familiar with the area and with the market, because people do see more options and more listings. And it's like, well, how do I know what's a good deal, what's not a good deal? So it is really important to work with an agent who really knows the area and also has a pulse on maybe like the motivation of some of the sellers. I mean, most sellers right now, if they're selling, they have a reason to sell. I mean, so if somebody's looking to get in the market long term, I mean, there can be a good chance. I mean, we're seeing sales in some segments of the market that, I mean, we haven't seen these prices for 5 years.
So I'd love if you have. I'm sorry to ask you this like off the cuff, but if you have any kind of an example, I'd love to see like, oh yeah, by the way, this and this and this. Do you have anything that you can share as that would give you like this would be here's an example of an opportunity? If not, don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about any current transactions.
Yes, no, we're not going to do that. Closed dones. Yeah.
I mean, for example, I just listed a property over at Polynesian Shores where the last comp closed about a year ago for $899, and now I listed a new listing that's almost identical to the comp, and it's right next door, and it's listed at $595.
Holy moly, that's huge.
Difference in price. I mean, I also here at Papa Care Resort, I closed a 1-bedroom here earlier this year for $550. I mean, the median price over the last couple years for 1-bedrooms has been over $1 million in this complex. So, I mean, that's pretty significant. And these are segments of the market that they're impacted also with the uncertainty about vacation rentals that we're still, waiting to hear on. So,
Heidi, you have dramatically exceeded my expectations for an example. You gave us two.
You were so like calm and like poised too, which is so on par for you. And your demeanor, you're like, so I sold this and it was $500,000 of an opportunity. And I'm like, get me in.
Well, yeah, I mean, people that are.
Where do I sign?
And you know what? The people that are buying right now they're people that know the area, that know Maui. And some of my clients right now they currently own properties in this area, and they're calling me because they're seeing this as an opportunity. And then there's also buyers I'm working with who have been kind of watching the market and coming to Maui for years, and they're thinking, now's a good time for me. It's like when everybody's rushing in, stumbling over each other, trying to buy the same thing, I mean, that drives the prices up. You have more competition, you have less to choose from. Now a buyer coming in the market has more to choose from, more negotiating power. So yeah, there's people that are scared that want to wait till there's more certainty. But as soon as there's more certainty, there's going to be a pent-up demand of buyers coming back to the market. Because I mean, it's beautiful here. Maui's going to continue to be a desirable place. And yeah, the last couple years have been, we've had definitely a lot of change and a lot of things going on. But I mean, overall, like the lifestyle here just offers something that I believe you really can't get other places.
Well, that's an understatement. The lifestyle here is completely, of course, amazing and incredible. Heidi, I as you were saying on this, and Ashley was commenting on how level-headed you were expressing these deals. I thought, you always got a potential as a second career or a side gig as a 911 operator. I could just totally, because you're so like level, right, Ashley? You're so like level head. It's like, oh my God, 911 right now. We have a garbage truck that's overturned in the middle of the street and there's garbage everywhere. And Heidi's like, yeah, okay, fine. Where's that garbage located? Yeah, how's that? What's that intersection? Okay, all right, good. Well, we'll get someone out there right away. It's like, man, that's Heidi. I never quite realized that about you. It's a gift.
No, even in real estate though, that's comforting, because in high stress situations, which we often have, you want someone to be calm and collected and take the emotion, out so that you can focus on facts. And I feel like you just do a fantastic job at that.
Oh, well, thanks, Ashley.
Amen.
It's
to that.
good for an
Amen.
escrow when you get a random call. We found a big hole in the wall or something. There's always,
I've had an escrow.
my last escrow. Like, you need to get over here now. We opened up the wall and there's a big hole in the wall. Like, I didn't even, Anyway, but you work through problems.
I came to a closing one time and we did our final walkthrough, and then we showed up for closing and the plumbing was removed from under the house. And I'm like, okay, I don't.
I'm just, right now, as luck would have it, I'm just digging the cat that's behind you that decided to make a, yeah, there you go. The cat that did a photobombing cat. I love it. You know what? You guys just gave me an idea. Okay, Dylan, we need to do this. We need to have a show of escrow disasters. We need to have a show of escrow disasters, right? Wouldn't that be a winner? That's a winner. We need to have an escrow disaster. Escrow war stories, and bring in a bunch of agents and talk about, like, okay, the most horrific, scariest moments or whatever, with hopefully happy endings, etc. So Susie Q agrees with us. Heidi's got a soft ground. Yes, exactly. Heidi has a soft, grounded energy. I 100% agree. Thank you for bringing that out. Well said, Susie.
As far as the market right now, my email is just blowing up with all these price reductions, and it's actually kind of getting old, but it's a really good time as an agent to be creative and also be really sharp. And it requires a lot of skill now. I mean, even people that are seasoned professionals, it requires a lot of skill. But yeah, you really have to be creative and stand out. And for agents, it's a more challenging market. But like I said, I mean, for buyers who are looking to get in long term, I think it's an exciting and fun market.
Excellent. Very, very true. Dylan, before we go to for a quick sec, I want you to think about this. I don't know if we can handle this, but S gave us a question about, can you talk about vacation rentals on Kauai? Are they profitable with the high HOA fees, or is it risky? Ronnie, where are you where's Ronnie when we need him? Ronnie is our Kauai guy.
We can take that on kind of principle and concept, I think, because that applies anywhere. Yeah.
And look, if you really want to kind of go crazy, Dylan, if you feel like it, message Ronnie offline and see if he wants to jump on in his PJs, and he could take it. We'll take him in live just for the hell of it. But anyway, before that, I want to give Rich P. Funny story. I asked my wife where she would like to retire, and she said, I don't like snakes. I searched where in the U.S. there's no snakes. Hawaii. Exactly. Wife likes Hawaii Island best. Hi, Dylan. I love them all. No snakes, and also no rabies. No snakes. So and one, as if we need another reason to love Hawaii the way we do. Dylan, speaking of Hawaii, tell us about Hawaii Island. What's happening? And are you going to have a hennery? That's what I want to know. You're going to have hens and eggs on your property? That's going to the rooster populations are going to go through the roof if they pass that law.
There's plenty of wild chickens already, and I know plenty of people that raise chickens all over the place. So I think it's probably more for those like HOA type neighborhoods where your neighbors complain. But most of the time, if you want to have a couple of chickens, nobody complains. But I definitely have wild chickens that sleep in a tree next to my house and they crow. But I get up early. I usually get up before them, so I usually set them off because I turn on the lights and then that sets them off, and then so whatever.
Revenge
for the chickens.
Revenge on the roosters. Dylan's the one who's waking up the roosters. Good on you. God bless. All right, Dylan, what's going on? How's the Big Island?
So connected to what Heidi's talking about, these are somewhat unprecedented times in the market, and I'll start off by, we had a pre-show, we were talking about this and admitting that I was wrong. We make a lot of predictions and we puff our chest when our predictions are right, but I've been saying for a long time to our agents and kind of to anybody who asks me about what's going to happen in 2025. The one thing I know is that it cannot be any worse than 2024, because 2024 was a very slow year when it came to the number of sales. And there were no price crashes or anything crazy like that. It wasn't like 2007 and 8 and stuff. But just from a number of homes that are selling, number of properties that are selling, the activity level of 2024 was like the lowest since like 1995. Like, I mean, just decades, right? I mean, before pretty much anybody who's in the market today was even in the business. So somewhat unprecedented for the professionals that are here today. And it's turning out that 2025 is going to be worse. It's the headline. I mean, if you look across the board at all of the different levels of sales that are happening on the Big Island, for sure, just if you break them down, there's 2% less home sales this year, there's 12% less condo sales, and there's 7% less land sales. So if you kind of average that out, we're kind of at like, 7-8% less sales happening this year than what has happened in the past. And so it's slow. I mean, that's the bottom line is it's slow. Median prices are not going down. The sales volumes are kind of are down from in the past, which tells us basically the total value of property that is selling is lower than it was year to date a year ago. So lower priced properties are selling, higher priced properties are not selling. I think that anecdotally, if you feel the market, I mean, luxury stuff is sitting way longer. There's way less interest. That starter home for the nurse and the firefighter, that is still selling because that is, just people need a place to live, and that market will always be there. So overall, yeah, it's interesting times. It's looking like it's going to be a little bit slower, and even nationally, if you look at the national numbers year to date, on average nationally, we are lower in terms of the number of sales than we were year to date a year ago. And to what Heidi was saying, the so what and why does that matter is you definitely need a professional who understands what's going on, that is really tapped into what's going on, really aware of what's going on, because it's that those part-timers or somebody who's kind of operating like it's still 2021 or 22 is definitely not going to put you in the best position to win in this market, because it's very unprecedented. I don't think anybody who's the three of us or anybody who's in the market today has experienced something like this, because it has been this slow. I mean, even in 2020 when COVID was happening, there were more sales than there was last year, and definitely this year we're on track to do less. But that could all change, right? If interest rates go down, doesn't look like they're going to, but if interest rates come down a point and a half, 2 points, the market will go crazy. Like Heidi's talking about, some certainty comes back into the market. So you can't time it, you can't predict it. You can just react to what's currently happening and make the best decision possible.
Dylan, can you speak at all to any macro trends? A bit. I mean, I suppose besides interest rates, which we're not used to being this high, even though it's really low in the grand history of things. Can you speak to are there any macro trends that you see that are creating kind of what we're seeing right now? I mean, Heidi's got some great examples, of what's going on in Maui. Maui's got its own localized issues, but is there anything, what comes to mind macro wise, big picture wise, that you may be a factor? Everything's like, it's always in flux. There's a million things going on. It's incredibly complex. You can't pin any one thing, but do you see anything that you think might be insightful for people to understand?
I think the simple macroeconomic explanation to all of this is and we've talked about this many times before. The market is driven by people's monthly payment, right? The vast majority of properties are bought with a mortgage, and they're driven by the monthly payment. But the monthly payment is a function of what the interest rate is and what the property value is. And what has happened over the last 5 years is that property values have gone up dramatically. I mean, almost doubled in the last 5 years. Interest rates have doubled plus in the last 5 years, and income has not, right? So if your income doesn't reflect the ability to buy based on the monthly payment today, based on the interest rate and the home value, it's suppressing buyer demand, because people have been priced out. Their buying power has been minimized. And so that's why we're seeing lower priced properties. Somebody who may have bought an $800,000 property 3 or 4 years ago can only afford a $600,000 or a $500,000 property today. So that's it. I mean, that's what's driving the slow market, is high interest rates and increased property values that haven't been followed by a dramatic increase in wages and income. So that's it. Pretty simple.
There you go.
Sense, right?
Pretty simple. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Makes total sense. Price goes up, demand goes down. That's pretty much it. All right, cool. All right, let's move on. I'm going to do a station break here right now. And how did you get here? Did you get an email invite to join the show? If you didn't, you need to get that on that mailing list so that you don't miss future shows and all the other. The website is doing some amazing content. I'm seeing stories coming out every week, which are great stories. If you are interested in living in Hawaii, and that's why you want to go to livinginhawaii.com. So just like who's the one that had the great story over here? I'm gonna point this one out. Yeah, so just like Rich P. Rich, I know you're on the list. Get your wife on the list, and living in Hawaii is where you want to go. So okay, enough about that. All right. So look, this is an Ask Us Anything show. I want to really emphasize everybody. If you're here, you get priority. Anything you'd like to know, whether it's about the market or real estate or Hawaii or anything about, ask us anything. Like, what's the color of my shirt? You could, it's all good. So go ahead and ask us anything that you want. We do have a bunch of questions. I do have a topic that I have prepared, but your stuff comes first. Make sure you let us know. Okay, great. So why don't we do this? I got an interesting question I got on, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about. And that is that we use the term Hawaiian time is used in Hawaii. He's on Hawaiian time, or they're on Hawaiian time. In fact, I remember back before any of you were born, Hawaiian Airlines was famous for being chronically late. They were like the worst airline in the world. They were late for everything. And my conspiracy theory is that's where Hawaiian time started from, because Hawaiian Airlines was awful. This was a very, very long time ago, but that has changed. So Hawaiian time, what does it mean? How is it culturally significant? What should someone know from the mainland if they come to Hawaii and they get invited and Hawaiian time? People start throwing that around. What's the whole cultural attitude of not just Hawaiian time specifically, but what's the sort of the whole cultural attitude of kind of how we see taking time or allowing for time or being tolerant of time? What does that mean? I'm going to ask Dylan to kind of to get us rolling as our locally born, grown, and raised representative here. Dylan, lead us off, and then we're going to hear from the rest of us about what Hawaiian time means.
I'm definitely not the best authority on this, because I had a band teacher in middle school who became the principal of our school later, and his rule was early is on time and on time is late, and it stuck with me, and I've lived my life by that rule ever since. Nothing stresses me out more than being late. But I think the simple kind of concept of Hawaiian time is like, people are always late, right? I think that's kind of like the simple understanding of it. But I think that's not necessarily totally true. I think it's more, we're just not in a rush, right? Like there's not that hustle and bustle. And so if you're a little bit late, no big deal. People give you grace. And then not just like being on time to things, but then when you do things, when you're spending time with people, when you're having a meal, when you're, whatever you're doing in life, you don't have to be rushed. Like you can take your time doing it and you can relax. And I think that's more of the essence of Hawaiian time, is just not having that hustle bustle culture of like everything has got to be done quickly and fast. And so that's it. I mean, that's the way I would interpret it, right? Does that mean sometimes people are late? Absolutely. But I think it's bigger and deeper than that.
Excellent. Yes, it is bigger and deeper than that, and it's good that you raised that issue. It's a state of mind. Heidi, how would you explain to someone, let's say someone's coming over to at your the condo that you're showing today, and they're from the mainland and they're considering moving, and the topic of Hawaiian time comes up in some way, shape, or form. How would you explain it the way you understand it?
Well, I think Dylan explained it perfectly. In my experience, it doesn't mean people are late. I mean, most people are on time. I mean, you still keep appointments and things, but it's more of an attitude of, like when I'm in the grocery store and somebody's being really slow and I'm just thinking, oh, I gotta go. I just take a moment, take a breath, realize it's not a big deal. I'll get to where I'm going. It's kind of an attitude about, really just taking your time and enjoying the moment, not pushing people, not being frustrated with people, having some grace. But I mean, in general, I show up on time for appointments. I mean, people that are meeting me are showing up on time. So it's not so much about that.
Yeah, well said. It's it's kind of funny. I'd like to get your guys' take on this because Dylan, I'm with you in the on time role. I hate being late for anything. Anything I have to, when I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there all the time, every single time. However, like you both have said, the Hawaiian time, you're so right about that. It's here's a cultural thing in Hawaii. Nobody beeps in traffic, right? And you don't beep unless there's two kinds of beeps, right? There's two kinds of beeps. The one kind of beep is the beep where when a red light has turned green and you've waited for so damn long that the light might go yellow again because it's been so long. And so you're allowed to give like a little tap on the horn, just a tap, like beep, beep, beep. And the tap means, hey, stop texting, and get going. There's that kind of beep. And then the other kind of beep is the get out of your car. You and I are going to have it out. Get out. We're going to fight right now on the street because whatever you're doing. And that's the one that where you do the old New York honk. But that doesn't mean move. That means get out of your car because we're going to go for it. Other than that, no one beeps.
Well, and there's also that saying hi beep.
Yes, thank you. There's that. So what's the high beep, Ashley?
That's where you go boop boop and stop. Say hi.
With the shaka, right? Very true. Yeah, well said. So those are examples of Hawaiian time. I got one more, but I want to hear Ashley's perspective on Hawaiian time. How do you explain it, Ashley? What do you tell folks that Hawaiian time? What does it mean to you? What does it reflect Hawaii, and how have you incorporated it?
I can't even add anything more. It was so perfectly recapped. Besides just being late or a party starts, you say, hey, be there by 12. You have, maybe the older aunties and uncles that actually come somewhere in that range-ish, but then everyone else shows up at 2 or 3 o'clock. So I would consider that an example of Hawaiian time, or, when you're at lunch and you're getting your food, or you're at the DMV and they just talk story for a long time, or in the grocery store line and they're catching up and talking about their friend or family because they all know each other, and it takes 15 billion hours to check out and to do anything. I would also categorize that as Hawaiian time.
The checkout line conversations, those are the best. Checkout line. How many of us have made like friends at the checkout line, right? For one reason, people, complete strangers, you're making friends at the checkout line, have a conversation while you're waiting. It's the best.
Not even just friends, but they know each other, know someone, and they haven't seen him in 10 years, but they're second cousins removed. And so they're checking out and updating on everything. And you're just sitting there with your poke bowl and you're like, I have an appointment in 5 minutes and I don't want to be on Hawaiian time and be late, but you're making me late. So
I like when people are just stopped in the street in their trucks, in the middle of the street, just talking to somebody, and then you're just stopped behind them. It's not because they're traffic. They ran into somebody they know and they're just talking story.
And these aren't
these are such great examples.
These aren't backcountry roads like they do in some other rural areas. We're talking main streets.
Oh man, this is so
at each other's cars, and then
exactly. It's the two opposite directions. They're in opposite directions where the drivers are right next to each other. You got one guy going, one guy's one, and they're opposite bound lanes, and they've blocked the entire street, and they're chatting. And like you said, you can't talk because you got to let them talk. You got to let them talk story. You can't interrupt that. And you're going to be in big trouble because you're going to have two guys getting out of their trucks and kicking your butt. So you definitely do not want to break that up. It's so funny.
So you got to regulate, and you got to just try to just be cruise and easygoing and everything. But then also, if you're trying to thrive financially on the island life, you don't really have time to do that. But then you have to do it. Otherwise, you're not really adding, or you're taking away from the culture. It's a balance. I'm from the Northeast, so it took me 10 years. No, it took me 5 years. I'm naturally pretty calm and collective.
Look, this is why now, we leave way the hell in advance of having to be there, where they're usually super early because I don't want to have to go through that stress. I don't want to have to like, oh my God, hurry up. I got to get going. I'm going to be late. It's like, no. I got plenty of time. My wife and
Okay,
I,
Mr. Retired. We don't all have that luxury. Okay.
Well, and that's usually usually a cause of Hawaiian time being late is the traffic, right? Like I like you think about, I mean, Oahu. It's like, to me, it's like
oh my God. Yeah.
90% of the time it's not, wasn't because they intended to be late. It's just the traffic is crazy. So that also matters.
Yeah. Like, have you recognized like, well, at least for us, go ahead, Ashley.
Construction is on
Oh.
perpetually Hawaiian time.
Yes.
For example, there is a rotary in a very pivotal part of our very small beach town. And in any other location in the United States, even if they only had 5 workers, it would get done in under 3 months. And we are talking years. There was a bridge in Hauula, and they wanted to build a bridge next to it. And that was years. And we're 20 feet maybe in span. It's probably a bit bigger than that, but about the property line and span. It adds to the Hawaiian time.
Yeah, construction's a good one, man. Man, I think we could kind of riff on this thing for a long time. I wanted to touch on one thing really quick. One thing that you mentioned, Ashley, about like parties. So the Hawaiian time applied to parties is like, if the party's like at 2:00 in the afternoon, what that really means is start getting ready to leave your house at around 2:00 in the afternoon. That's kind of what that really means, except for the aunties and the uncles who show up there at 2:00 in the afternoon exactly. And because they're retired, the retirees show up because the retirees got nothing better to do. So we're going to show up at 2:00. But all the young generation, they leave their house at 2:00. And some people live on the other side of the island. It takes them an hour to get there. Some people leave, half an hour away, and everyone kind of shows up when they show up. But what's interesting is that now I've always been punctual when when I was earning a living, Ashley. I was always punctual, but I'm curious. Is there? I think on the business side of things, I believe, because I take it like practically personally. If I'm at a business meeting and the other person is late, Hawaiian time out the window. I like no. To me, it like flips, and I'm wondering if it's just me, Dylan. Is this me or is it cultural that you show up for a business meeting on time? If you're late for that business meeting, it's not Hawaiian time. It's disrespect. It flips. Is that just me or is that cultural, Dylan?
No, I totally agree with that. Time is the most valuable thing, especially in business, and
Yeah.
you don't waste people's time. Yeah.
You don't, right? So but I'm wondering if it's a local cultural thing where you're late to a business meeting, that's being disrespectful. That is I don't know if it's it pisses the hell me. I get like super mad.
I would agree with that. Yes.
I would agree.
Yeah. I used to remember we used to interview people, and if you were like 1 minute late, no interview. All right. Let's move on. Next slide, please.
Ron did respond to S on the vacation rental on Kauai question. If you wanted to hear his response.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Let's do that. Hold on a second. Let's put up S's. Thank you for bringing me back to earth over here. We got so like off the rails. So yes. So here's S's question. Can you talk about vacation rentals on Kauai? Are they profitable with high HOA fees, or is it risky? And Ashley being the representative millennial was multitasking and texted Ronnie, who's our Kauai dude. And Ashley, what does Ronnie say? Ronnie is a seasoned Kauai agent on Dylan's team. What does Ronnie say, Ashley?
Can be. The main delta between break even and profitability is self-managed versus on-site managed. It makes a big difference. Some of the most profitable investments are several condo hotels because they're high occupancies and relatively low cost, starting at $230,000. The high-end ones also make big money. One of my listings in Princeville is selling for $3 million. It grossed $270,000 in rental income last year.
So, Ashley, what does that mean?
I think it kind of goes to par with the rest of the islands that, yeah, there's some profit to be made in vacation rentals. Whenever you self-manage, that saves you. Usually property management costs you 10% to have a property manager for a regular property. If you do vacation rentals, they're often 20%. If someone's charging you less than 20%, I would definitely vet their references and their reviews because it's so much higher turnaround and maintenance. So you're saving 20% of, your rental cost by self-managing. So that makes sense. And then for them, what it would be interesting next time he's on the show is to just hear how are their vacation rental laws. So I know on Big Island, I'm not sure about Maui, maybe Heidi can speak on this. I believe you guys can live in a portion of your home and still vacation rent another portion of your home if you're living on site legally, even if it's not zoned for it. While on Oahu, we don't have that option. And I don't know about Kauai. We would have to ask him. So I think that would also make a difference.
We need to have a vacation rental show. That's another thing. That's one more show in the queue. We got to have, so Dylan, I got to remember this. We got to have escrow war stories and vacation rental special. That would be kind of really very informative. All right. We need to, I hope that was helpful to you. We need to move on to our next slide, please, as Dylan used to always so say. So we're going to go through some diamonds and deals over here. We've got some properties that our friends are wanting to highlight for us. So let's take a look. And this one is Waianae. Ashley, why don't you tell us about what we're looking at. I feel like a game show host. Tell us about what we're looking at, Ashley.
Well, here we're looking at a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It's on the Maili side of the island, which is the beautiful West Coast. You are 0.2 miles from the beach, and this is a lovely beach park where lots of people camp and hang out on long weekends. Okay, this is a dead-end road. There's no through traffic on here. It's a pretty quiet road, super nice. This is fully renovated. It has 10 solar panels with a Tesla battery extending pack, which is all prepaid for the next 24 years, which means it's under warranty, no monthly payments. It's like the golden contract of solar. And then it does have dual multi-generational living space. So you have a full kitchen and a kitchenette, massive carport, over 700 square feet of carport hangout lanai space. So there's even like a dining table in that back right corner, and you can still fit parking and street parking, and low maintenance yard. 767,000.
I was going to ask, and if the price is right, and that sounds like a pretty, for Oahu, that's way below the median. There's
something that just sold 2 streets down, about $10,000-$20,000 higher. I have to go check. It just closed yesterday.
Yeah, awesome. That is great. So the price is right. Thank you, Ashley. And a wise move on having the QR code, right? I'm assuming if I hit the QR code, it'll take me to a page about the property. That's a good technique.
If you guys do ever inquire, let me know. It's from the show.
Yes, please do let her know. Let Ashley know it's from the show. Great. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that. That's a cool property. 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Wailuku, what do we got here, Heidi? What are we looking at? I like the blue sky. That's for sure.
So this is a single level home. It was built in 2021, so newer construction. You can see in the picture at the top, it does have ocean views. So it's a great location. This is a very walkable neighborhood. It's close to schools, shopping. It does have EV charging, so you can have your Tesla in the garage there. And this is listed just under 1.6, 1.598. Lots of upgrades, custom rock walls around the property for privacy, irrigation, landscaping, central air conditioning, and a great neighborhood close to schools and walking trails, biking, and everything in central Maui.
Well, Heidi, I was going to say, it's a practically a brand new home, relatively speaking, 2021 construction. But yet the styling, if I look at from the curb, it almost looks like an old style kind of classic Hawaii home, except for the garage. But that off to the left, it looks like any old, looks like the homes, in our neighborhood, which were built in the 50s, which is cool. It's a cool thing. It's a modern, yet it's modern. So this is gonna be fun. So Ashley's property has a Tesla battery, so it's EV friendly. Heidi's house is EV friendly. I can we go for the trifecta? It would be really cool if Dylan's property as well had electrical thing. Oh, I didn't. Sue, I'm not sure what your did I miss your question? I thought that we caught it, Sue. I thought we hit it right at the very beginning. Vacation. I'm not too sure, Sue.
40
sorry,
Sue,
Sue.
male. forwarding mail.
Oh
Time
shit,
today, can
forwarding
you touch
mail.
on-
All right,
yeah.
we're gonna hit it. We're gonna hit it, Sue. We're gonna hit
Let's
the
do
40
it.
mail. I'm gonna give up. Yeah, Sue, thank you for the reminder. Sorry about that. We're gonna hit it. Thank you, Dylan. All right, let's move on. Dylan, what do we look at? Wow. Okay, there you go. What is this?
I'll go quick. This is just want to, I always feature stuff in Middle Lee when it comes out and it's cool. But this is a beach house, like literally right on the water, pretty obvious from the pictures. Super nice inside, 1.5 baths. Actually, I didn't even put the price on here. This thing is like $699, I think. Where did I put the price at? But
Wow.
Middle Lee is a little fishing village south of Kona. It takes probably an hour to get to from downtown, so it's rural, but just an absolutely killer spot. And if you want that type of oceanfront living, it's pretty much a cliff in front, but there are some places, a short drive and walk away, where you can get into the water, and some of the best fishing on the island. There's a boat ramp down there. There was an ancient Hawaiian fishing village that still has some of the best fishing grounds in the state. So super, super cool. But what a deal, right? What a deal. Let me get you the
What
price
a
here.
deal. This photo is like so dramatic. It makes
Six-
me think it's like it looks like a resort, from this
Yeah.
from this angle.
$699.
$699.
So
man.
show me where else in the world you can get a house like this for $699. Definitely not in Hawaii. Right in the
Isn't that
water.
the truth?
So,
Isn't that the
yeah.
truth? So well said.
This
man.
is a house, not a condo.
it's a house. Yeah. It's a single family home.
Oh,
It's a small,
No
little
maintenance
beach.
fee?
No. Well, no. There's I think there's an HOA that maintains the roads. I think it's $300 a year. There, maybe
Man,
$400.
This has a
year.
pool. Can you add additional bedroom and bathrooms, or is there restrictions?
These are hard because they're right on the water. Yeah, so it's like SMA stuff, and it gets complicated. So it's possible.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated. All right. Well, Dylan, this is it's like so the photo is so dramatic. The photo is so
Yeah.
dramatic. So dramatic. All right. So let's hit. Thank you, Sue, for bringing this back up, and Dylan for chiming in. So what do you do? What do you tell people, gang? Quickly, what do we tell people that what they should do if they're trying to kind of work out the forwarding? Who wants to take this one first?
This is mostly probably a Big Island. I don't know how much of it's on Maui, but we have a lot of places on the Big Island that do not have at-home delivery for whatever reason. It's too rural. Sometimes roads aren't great. I used to live in a neighborhood, like a regular neighborhood, where the main road had mail delivery, but we were on a little offshoot cul-de-sac, and we didn't have mail delivery. It didn't make any sense to me. I never took the time to call my congressman and find out why, but so we had a P.O. box. So P.O. boxes are definitely very highly utilized on the Big Island, and I don't know about long waiting lists. I think you just call and see. I mean, I've gotten several PO boxes in my lifetime, and it was pretty quick. So I don't know if that's a big issue. Maybe some of the real small rural ones are, but yeah, very common to have a PO box rather than a home mail delivery. We still have both. I use the PO box for like more business stuff, and then Amazon brings stuff to our house. So it's doable.
I'd be curious if. I'd be curious if between Heidi and Ashley, if there's a PO box waiting list issue. And by the way, I want to preempt, Heidi, if you've got to go at any time, you don't need to say anything. You just get off the camera and take off, because you've got a list. So Heidi's been super cool by doing her like listing right after the show. If you got to go, Heidi, go. Any issues with
the one thing I
PO
would
box
add to
waiting
this from a forwarding, from the forwarding question is, PO boxes are little, right? They're like this big, and so I check my PO box like once a week, and it's like stuffed to the gills with like junk mail and stuff like that. So that's one thing, is like you don't want to have to forward it for like a month or two. You kind of do have to have somebody regularly checking it, and so that's a consideration.
Good point. And
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. Like how do you handle it? Who wants to take it? Heidi, Ashley, you guys want to? Who wants to jump in? So Heidi, give us the what's the Maui view? What do you tell someone who's like Sue, asking Sue's question, and they're about to buy a condo in Maui? What do you tell them?
Well, most condos in Maui, mail gets delivered right to the condo, but I haven't heard of any issues with PO boxes or people not being able to get them. My only experiences when I was on Molokai and I went to Mauna Loa, which is a very small town. They have a little post office there, and they said they had a huge waiting list for PO boxes, and their suggestion was maybe you should just share with one of your neighbors. But that was pretty funny. But the other solution would just be to go to Kaunakakai, the main town, and you could get a PO box there. It was just like 20 minutes away. So yeah, that was interesting.
So Sue kicked back and said, "Hey, I've heard this in the Hilo side. So Dylan, this is maybe something for you and your team to kind of look back on." Sue, look, if you're looking at the Big Island, you just get a hold of Dylan, and I'm sure he'll follow up. He's got a small army of people on the Hilo side as well as the Kona side, and we can kind of clue that in. What about you, Ashley? How do you address this issue with people transitioning over? How do they forward their mail, in a way that makes sense?
I don't know of anyone that has this issue here. We're
Okay, there you go.
pretty well infrastructured.
Pretty well staffed. Okay, so maybe just a Hilo thing.
Modern.
So Sue, get on.
Modern.
Yeah, we're
I wouldn't go as far as
modern.
modern. We're not still there.
relatively speaking, we're modern. Relatively speaking,
There are some lots in like the North Shore that are ag land lots that you have to go through gates, and they're self-managed HOAs. So I'm sure that you run into some hiccups there, but you can get a PO box pretty easy. Just
Sue, get a hold of Dylan. Yeah, Sue, get a hold of Dylan. Or you can email me on the show. I'll be happy to forward it to you. Get a hold of Dylan, and we'll figure out what the Hilo situation is, if the Big On is what you want to do. All right, great. Sue, I hope that was okay. Give us a follow-up, and want to give a shout-out to Misty Padilla, who's with us. Aloha, friends. Yeah, hey, Misty. How's it? Misty comes on and is a Dylan, if I, with all due respect to Dylan, Misty is a more fun version than Dylan is. Certainly better looking. Certainly
agree.
better looking.
100%
Certainly
agree.
better looking. Yeah, certainly better looking than Dylan is. So thank you, Misty, for coming on when you do. And Marco,
and if you want to see Misty more often, she's often the host of our other show that we do on the weeks that we're not on here. So check the YouTube channel out. Those are not live.
There
They're
you go.
recorded and posted on YouTube. But yeah, lots of great content, like Peter was saying earlier.
That by definition, she is a hostess with the mostest.
Yes.
Right there. That is
Yes.
the example. Thank you, Misty. And of course, Marco is back with us. Marco, welcome back, buddy. Marco Capata. Welcome back, Marco. What's good? All right, great. Let's we're gonna pull this back on schedule. So what we're gonna do first here on our closing, we got our closing motivational thoughts, one of my favorite parts of the show. And what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna open up with Heidi's first, in case Heidi's got to go. So Heidi, it's a great shot, Heidi. Give us what's your quote, and what does it mean to you?
Every time your feet touch the shore, the ocean reminds you that life is vast and limitless as the sea before you. Just a reminder to feel the awe of the beauty all around you. And we are so lucky to live here in Hawaii. So that's what it's about, is just appreciating the beauty and feeling the awe.
Well said. Heidi, I go for a walk these days because I'm retired, Ashley. I go for a walk twice a day on the beach. I go in the morning with my wife and I go in the morning, and I go back in the afternoon. And I haven't thought about this thought exactly, but I will today, Heidi. I will today. So thank you for that. Excellent. Well said. Great shot too, by the way. Beautiful.
This
Okay, Ashley.
This is not as deep, but I thought it's really. Or I was listening to something where it's really cool perspective. Is that water is so special that it's been on the earth for so long that statistically speaking, the water that we drink probably went through dinosaurs also. The molecules that we
Yes.
drink. I mean,
Yes.
it's crazy perspective, right? I just saw it. I'm like,
Oh, don't get me started on water's
it makes sense,
properties.
it's mind-blowing.
Don't get me started on water's properties. I can go for like a whole show about how amazing water is. It's really something else. It really, really is. All right, Ashley, this is coming from the heart because there's no quote here. So give it to us, Ashley. What's your quote today?
There is a quote. There's a white background, but I'm not gonna make you go and change it.
Not now.
No, you gotta go out, click it. No, I'll just read it.
Our time is up. I can't. Oh, did you do it already? Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Here we go. Watch. Okay, here we go. While you we'll
Okay.
code while you wait. Okay, go for it.
In the face of impossible odds, people who love their country can change it. This is in honor of Memorial Day weekend that we have coming up on Monday, and I think that there's a lot of political turmoil and division in our country right now, And doesn't matter what side or what your thoughts or opinions are. Some people are feeling a little burnt out and against the odds. And just remember, if you love your country, together, we still can change it.
Excellent. Well said. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Ashley, for sharing that. In the face of impossible odds, people who love and we all love our country, and we are changing it. Excellent. Thank you, Ashley. Dylan, what is yours?
If you're not willing to do if you are willing to do the things most are not willing to do, the time will come when you can do the things most are unable to do. So just a reminder, we can all learn whatever skill we want in life, accomplish whatever we want, but sometimes it's going to take doing the things that most people are not willing to do. So,
ooh, man, that is a good one, man. That is a good one. Yeah, I like the way that said. That's a good
everybody wants what you have, but they don't want what it took to get there, right? So
oh boy. Yeah. People look at you and say, oh man, God, I wish I could be as lucky as you were to have the success that you've got. It's like, yeah, dude, you have no freaking idea how unlucky the unlucky trails and travesties I had to go through to get this, to retire, Ashley, to retire. Yes, exactly. Cool.
You keep rubbing it in, Peter.
It's fun. You've given me a hook. I get the hook on it now. So it's part of it's what we do. But it's self-deprecating, sort of, in a way, But yes, but I am retired, and it's amazing. I got it.
You just did it again. And I'm not, my quote is not for any, I don't care who it came from. I just had to state who it came from, by the way.
Don't worry about it. It's all good. Hey, look, there's an argument. Look, Ashley, there's an argument that people will make that say, yes, today is the change. Today, the country is as a result of the change that the people have wanted. And that's fair too.
But ignore who it's from. It's not about who it's from. It was,
no,
I had,
who.
Yeah.
It's not the
okay, Mr. Retiree. What's your
Hi, Adam? There you go. Hi, Adam. How's it going, buddy? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. All right, we're gonna close this up with Proverbs, because here you go, Ashley. Here's one for you. I love this one. It says, "Do not." Proverbs 20:21. Do not say, "I will recompense evil." Recompense is the payback. Do not say, "I will recompense evil." Wait for the Lord, and He will save you. In other words, you're not the one that has to dish out. You're not the one that has to pay people back. Let God work that out. You just do what you do. You do the right thing. You live a good and righteous life, and let God work out the details of taking care of those. All right. It's time to go. We're going to be back in 2 weeks. Heidi, thank you for staying out with us all the way. Have a good luck on your listing. Take care, Heidi. See you. Bye. Ashley, say bye. Everyone say bye. So Ashley Ashley said bye already. Let's go counterclockwise. Ashley and then Dylan, say goodbye.
Happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone. Aloha.
Aloha, everybody. Have a great long weekend.
Have a great Memorial Day.
Remember the fallen.
Remember the fallen. Indeed. Thank you, Dylan. Remember the fallen. All right. Take care, everybody. Aloha.